Surely most of you have heard of the famous number 666, the seven-headed dragon, or of the four horses of Apocalypse. All originate exactly in the book of Revelation, the only apocalyptic book in the Bible, and a symbolically rich work with numerous references. In this video, we'll look thoroughly at the Apocryphon of John, also known as the Book of Revelation in the New Testament of the Bible. This astounding piece of literature is shrouded in many a mystery. Although the author is known as John, we don't exactly know whether it's John the Apostle or someone else. Whether this book refers to the events past or future is not known either. Generally, however, since the book prophesies the end of the world as we know it, it's seen as a prophecy that's yet to be fulfilled. Regardless of the stance we take, it provides us with a great insight into Christian symbolism that pervades the unconscious that can be found expressed in many ways of thinking, traditions and cultures. What I'd like to do in this video is to look at the most interesting passages, analyze their meaning and see if there are any relevant connections with the society as of today or possibly of tomorrow. We'll simultaneously look at comparisons with dystopian authors such as Dostoevsky or Orwell to see if we can find any connections between their predictions and those of John. For this analysis, I've chosen the King James Version of the Bible. I chose it because it stays close to the original text, which I didn't want to have compromised by interpretations, while also preserving the poetic tone that's an important part of the Bible as well. For those unfamiliar with Revelation, we'll briefly go through the major events that take place there, and then we'll focus on some specific elements. So, as the opening, we have the message to 7 churches. Then we move to heaven, where there's a throne surrounded by 24 seats, 7 spirits of God, and 4 beasts full of eyes. There's a mention of a book with 7 seals, which is rather important because this book is then opened by the Lamb, and that's what starts the apocalypse, where we'll see 4 horses and the beast, the mark of the beast, etc. Then there's a seal of the living God. We'll go through that as well. We'll have 7 trumpets, 7 figures. During the appearance of the 7 figures, there's a fight between Michael and Satan is thrown down to earth with his fallen angels. Then we have 7 bowls, harlot on a scarlet beast, marriage supper, judgment, and New Jerusalem. So we'll go mainly through the Lamb, the beast, mark of the beast, the number symbolism, the judgment, New Jerusalem, and so on. So you've probably noticed already that the number 7 occurs very frequently throughout the Revelation and, in fact, throughout the whole Bible. It's widely known that the world was created in 7 days according to the Bible, and as a result we have weeks that are long 7 days, not longer or shorter. So looking at this number, we can see that it signifies wholeness, completeness, unity. The Lamb has 7 horns, for the Lamb unites the world. The beast has 7 horns and 7 crowns on them, for he is the fake unity. Artificially fabricated, seemingly utopian authoritarianism. He deceives the world that he is the Lamb. We'll get to that in more detail a bit later. Black sun, red moon. Revelation 6:12. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. So when the 6th seal of the book of the 7 seals is opened, the sun turns black and the moon turns red. Signs in the sky are used throughout the Bible as a forewarning. We can even find the same one in Joel 2:31. The sun will become dark and the moon will turn blood red before that great and glorious day of the Lord arrives. This is again a prediction of the events that occur in Revelation. Clearly, this suggests that the mentioned events will take place when solar eclipse and blood moon coincide. But there's a slight problem with that. It's impossible. One way around this would be to stand on the moon during a lunar eclipse, as the Earth would be blocking the sun's light. Or there's a strange phenomenon called selenelion, during which both the sun and the eclipsed moon can be seen simultaneously. This is due to atmospheric refraction. Still, though, it doesn't come with a solar eclipse. Simultaneous lunar and solar eclipse would only be possible if the sun were covered by an object while also having the moon covered by another object. However, in Revelation 9:2, the sun is darkened by the pit smoke, so that could just mean lunar eclipse and massive fires. I know the point is that it's supposed to be impossible, but you know me, I always try to look at how the impossible could be made possible. The Beast. Revelation provides a detailed description of the hierarchy of evil. First, we see a great red dragon and his angels, or Satan and the fallen angels, who first, however, fight Archangel Michael. They loosen are cast out of heaven and therefore come down to earth. Then the beast emerges from the sea, hence the name beast, an earthly creature driven by animalistic desires only. This beast is the dragon's offspring, servant or incarnation, since the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. This beast has power over all kindreds and tongues and nations. This seems like a group of individuals, maybe fallen angels, the followers of Satan. Then a beast that had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon appears. Since Jesus is the Lamb, this imitation of his is Antichrist. This Antichrist seems to be Satan's extension, as he makes people worship the first beast. He can perform miracles, has the power of Satan, and makes the people worship the first beast. Since the first beast is wounded but survives, Antichrist uses this as a demonstration of its power and makes people make an image to the beast, or in other words, worship it. Those who refuse shall be killed. It sounds quite like a one-world system, structure, or autocratic religion. Now, who are these beasts exactly? Unless we allow for the fantastical to merge with what we consider to be the reality, it's somewhat difficult to imagine what the 7-horned beast could be. Some conspiracy theorists hold that some of the humans, especially those from the elite that run the world, are in fact not of human origin but of alien. Many of them are said to belong to an alien reptilian race, or to be human reptilian mutants that can shapeshift. Some of them are said to be controlled or possessed by this race, or by demonic forces that collaborate with them. Genesis 6 mentions the Nephilim, the fallen angels, or the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. They were considered mighty men who were of old, the men of renown, due to their angelic origins, which gave them an advantage and probably prominent positions amongst men. Possibly these could be the very same hybrids. It could be that they are the beast that takes over the world and that the world bows to. If we look at how the world reacted to Queen Elizabeth's death, it would be no surprise. Many of them have indeed become like gods to people. It wouldn't be the first time in human history either that humans have foolishly decided to follow the wrong ones. But Revelation also shows us the fate of those who follow Satan and those who follow Christ. A book of life of the Lamb is mentioned, and those whose names are written in it won't worship the beast and will ascend to heaven. Another way we could see the beast ruling the world is to have a look at our modern culture. The modern culture, if it can even be called culture, preaches that the good and the bad is arbitrary. Thus everything loses its guidance by a higher principle, becomes art for the sake of art, an atheistic banana on the wall. Knowing right from wrong and true from false is an important feature of a higher, self-aware, conscious creature that aspires to be a godly being. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. This passage directly condemns those who are undecided. That single-minded pursuit is the first step towards unraveling the truth. In Dostoevsky's Demons, where the nihilistic dilemma turns into the epicenter of the decay of the world, this passage plays a crucial role. Nihilists, after all, deny all that is cold and all that is hot as well. There is nothing for them, and there is nothing worse, for even Satan's followers had faith in something bigger. Not surprisingly, the point of erasure of the borders between the good and the bad is an inversion, an exchange of position between the good and the bad. We were told that evil is just different and that anyone can be whatever they want. This leads to mislabeling the evil and instead creating labels that turn people against each other. Thus the evil remains hidden. Throughout the Bible, this tactic is exactly what Satan uses to divide and confuse the people, all to create a replica of God's kingdom that is nothing more but a simulation, an artificial world without meaning. Why is the meaning lost without God, you may ask? The answer is simple: God doesn't lie. No matter how perfect Satan's fabrication will be, it will always be deception, a lie that functions according to what he decides. For more on this topic in practice, I'd recommend you to watch the movie The Truman Show. One thing is clear though, looking at the characteristics of the beasts and the fact that Satan is deemed the prince of this world, him and his followers are figures of global material power. The Lamb. Christ, or the Lamb, has 7 horns and 7 eyes, whereas the beast has 7 crowned horns. This may be a tiny detail, but it underlines an important distinction between the values held high by God and those by Satan. The beast comes up from below, from the sea to the earth. The proper order, however, comes down from above, as from heaven to earth when New Jerusalem is created at the end of Revelation. Where Satan convinces by talking, God convinces by showing. In the same way, the beast must crown its horns to establish its false supremacy ostentatiously, whereas the Lamb is superior simply by showing the definition of its being. Additionally, the 7 horns of the Lamb are united on one head, or one principle. The beasts, however, symbolize chaos. This chaos is venerated by the people, therefore the coronation of its head. Christ therefore unites the 7 in one as God, whereas Satan splits it. Or, the Lamb is the creative principle that extends the higher principle, or one head, into creative manifestation, or 7 horns. 666 and the Mark of the Beast. Now we get to the Mark of the Beast, perhaps the most interesting element of Revelation. And he, Antichrist, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. In contrast to the mark of the beast, we have the Father's name on the forehead, which is the brand of those who believe in God and whose names are written in the book of life. Some have theorized that the mark of the beast is connected to technology, specifically microchips and technological control of the population or to vaccines. The truth is that any system of control intertwined with technology becomes impenetrable. Unless you possess the correct key, there's no way you can enter. Technology in the hands of someone with power becomes a massive threat. We have already experienced how easily digital passes were rolled out under the pretense of a health crisis. China's credit and camera systems are already intricately linked. Perhaps this idea isn't too far-fetched after all. Symbolically speaking, the mark of the beast is simply a symbol of perfect inclusivity. Only that which is accounted for can be part of the system. This idea connects us directly with the number 666. And let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 6 is the number of man because on the sixth day the man was created. Using 6 in such a powerful succession of 3 is to emphasize the worldly existence and deny 7, the number of unity, or the higher principle, the number of completeness. 7 is the day of rest. In a way, the week is 6 days long, as it represents 6 days of work, and the 7th is the remainder. As we've already seen, the world of the beast is a world of an imposed inclusivity. And once again, through this, we find another sign of the modern times, as this idea is the very idea liberals are obsessed by. It is the number of the beast, the number of man, which suggests to me that it's the number of a man that is just a man. Man with his animalistic principles only, without a godlike principle. In the end, this is what Satanism preaches, and that's why they use this number. Apart from Satanists' frequent usage of 666, we encounter the same idea only in a different form in Freemasonry. Freemasons build their 33-degree structure out of reference to the number 6. As some food for thought, on the euro coin, for example, you can find 12 stars, which is 6 plus 6, and 6 rods. The examples are one too many. Once you pay attention, you'll see them everywhere. The 4 horsemen. The 4 horses and 4 kings of the apocalypse, conquest, war, famine, and death. All these are predicted by Jesus in Matthew 24. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences. The 4 prominent promoters of new atheism in our era are also referred to as the 4 horsemen. So, the 4 horsemen can be seen as a sign of the beginnings of an apocalypse of thought and physical being both. The mind is pestered, impoverished, and hungers for meaning, whereas the body wages war against body, suffers from hunger and disease. The Matrix is a good movie example of this. People create AI that takes over them, throws their minds into a non-existent reality that may seem fulfilling, but is devoid of any meaning, whilst their bodies are either imprisoned and farmed for the machine's subsistence, or suffer from the consequences of the war. Sounds quite familiar, doesn't it? Connections. Big Brother is the beast, but there is no lamb to save the world. That's the point of dystopia. The people create a beast that takes over the society to replace a higher principle of God. This artificial means of power is of course not a creative principle, predominating and subjugating. The mere absence of God creates disorder between the good and the bad, makes them disappear. That's the sea and the earth in Revelation. This renders dystopia hopeless, and therefore there is no way out. Despite some people's efforts, the lamb is simply not there. The society remains asleep in a state of slavery. What we come across in Revelation is, however, different. Despite the apocalypse that's described there, the differentiation between the good and the bad doesn't vanish. On the contrary, it becomes even clearer. Those who have the mark of the beast are damned, but those whose names are in the book of life are redeemed. The followers of dystopia burn in the lake of fire, and the followers of God enter heaven. Straightforward. In a way, dystopian books all talk about the same war on intelligence and pattern, and frenzied rebelliousness against authority that occurs in Revelation. We see the same things occur at the moment with a liberal movement taking over the world, to such an extent that reason is defied. Like men can become women or vice versa, gender identity separate from sex, accepting immigrants unless they're from Russia, blah blah blah. However, the main crux is that while defying righteous authority, an authority that seizes power arbitrarily is created, this simultaneously connects to the idea of artificial intelligence, both literally and symbolically. Just like communists, what Satan wants is not to create a better world. He simply wants to supplant God and replicate his creation, but with his own rules. At this point, I would like to mention Dostoevsky in more detail. He described the causes that led to this disintegration rather well. For Dostoevsky, this topic exactly defiance of higher order and desire for chaos was the main crux. He attributed it to an ever-increasing faithlessness of the human being and the moral and political nihilism that comes with it. His book Demons deals with this topic in detail. Chapter 8 describes a secret group of rebels led by Stepanovich, a group that the Bible would describe as Satan and his followers. They're described as, quote, systematically shaking the foundations, systematically undermining society and all principles, for the purpose of demoralizing everyone and throwing everything into chaos, and then once society has begun to totter as a result, and was sick and weakened, cynical and devoid of beliefs, yet still yearning for some guiding idea and self-preservation, they would suddenly take it into their hands, raising the banner of rebellion. End of quote. And indeed, one can see significant parallels between what Revelation preaches. Satan tempts the people, which leads to God's wrath, hence the apocalypse, and then tricks the people once again into worshipping him, which only leads the people further astray. The kind of person that falls for that is just like one of the demon's main characters, Stavrogin, whom Dostoevsky describes as, quote, a whole social type, a Russian, a person who has lost everything native and most importantly, faith, a degenerate out of ennui. End of quote. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is our modern person. In conclusion, rather than being a precise prediction of the future events, I think that Revelation is a demonstration of consequences that are to follow when the higher principle is defied. Therefore, it could be applied to different circumstances and eras, and in my opinion, it already includes ours. We find ourselves amidst the parting sea and earth it described, in a conflict that maybe still remains invisible, but screams silently through our growing desperation and faithlessness, that gives space for degeneration to thrive. What lies ahead? I admit that I truly don't know, but one of my fears has always been that what makes us human will slowly disappear underneath our technological ambitions. And indeed, the wheels are already turning. Maybe the biggest twist of them all is that the ravenous beast and our downfall have always been and always will be us. But there is hope. In the end, Satan is defeated and Christ unites heaven and earth. Our ability to tell the right from wrong and to decide to follow the truth, to denounce and stand against falsehood and injustice, to rise from obliviousness towards wisdom, the readiness to sacrifice ourselves for the well-being of others, is what sets us apart from the beast. That's what should give us the faith that even the Apocalypse of John is full of.